Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with lesson number 13 in our incredible new tutorial series where you are going to learn artificial intelligence on the Jetson Nano. I will need you to pour yourself a nice big mug of iced coffee, and I will need you to get out your Jetson Nano gear. What? You don't have your gear yet? Look down in the description down below, and I have links to all of the identical hardware which I'm using in this series. If you're going to play along at home, it makes it a lot easier if we are working on identical hardware. Hey, also want to give a shout out to you guys who are helping me out over on Patreon. You guys are keeping my studio equipment up to date, and you are keeping me in coffee beans. Really appreciate it. You guys that are not helping me out yet, think about looking down in the description. There's a link over to my Patreon account. Think about hooking a brother up. But enough of this senseless advertising. Let's just get right into today's lesson. And what we are going to be doing today is we are going to show you how to resize windows and resize images in OpenCV. This is a little bit of a follow-on to our lesson last week where we showed you how to position your video windows in OpenCV. And again, as we are moving on, we are going to be doing a lot of image manipulation and a lot of video analysis and a lot of video manipulation. And so what you got to do is you've got to be able to keep your windows organized. And we showed you last week how you can kind of stack them up and keep them where they're all neat so that every time you fire up the program, all your windows are in the right spot. Well, one of the things, because we're going to be doing so much different things, so many different things like filtering or masking or manipulating the images, a lot of times these things are sequential and you want to sort of see kind of the effect of each new process that you're doing on the image. So you would like to see them all stacked up. Well, when you have a lot of them, you would like to see these intermediate steps sort of in smaller windows, and then finally when you come up to your final product, you want it to be a bigger window. So you've got to not only be able to position the windows where you want them, you need to be able to size them the way that you want them sized. And so that's what we are going to be doing today. So let me get out of your way, and then let's come over and open up our Visual Code Studio, which we installed some number of lessons ago. If you don't have this, you can go back and install it. And remember, inside of our main folder was PyPro, and then inside of PyPro we have this OpenCV, and we've done now OpenCV 1, OpenCV 2, and now we will do OpenCV 3. So I need you to click on your OpenCV folder, come up here to the little icon under PyPro which says create a new file. And what are we going to call this? Well, this will be OpenCV 3 for lesson number 3, and then we're going to say resize windows.py. Okay, boom, there we are. Now you remember a few lessons ago we started with the code that we're going to be using as the starting point for all of our programs. It's the code that fires up your camera, and it will fire up either a Raspberry Pi camera or a webcam. So we need to go over to the most excellent www.toptechboy.com and grab that piece of code. If you want a link directly to the page that has the code on it, look in the description down below. I give you a link where you can come right with one click to this lesson. And then we want to come down here and we want to click on this little two pages, these little two pages on top of each other. Right mouse click and copy. Then we can get this out of the way and then come back to our lesson 3 and we will paste the code in there. And just for good measure, let's run it to make sure that it is in fact working. So run Python file in terminal. And how do you like that? Oh, I know. You got to decide what you're going to run. If you are running the PyCam, you need to uncomment these two lines, okay? and then it should run. So I will say run Python file in terminal. Boom. And there it is back in random position, which we fixed in the last lesson by using the move window command. But you can see that we did fire off the PyCam. Or similarly, we could, instead of that, if I commented those back out, those two back out, we could uncomment out this one, which is for the webcam. In your webcam, if it's the only camera on your system, it will probably be camera 0. Me, since I already have a different camera on there, my webcam should be cam 1. So let's run Python file in terminal. Boom, there it is again in a strange location, but there it is. Okay. Q. All right, so I kind of prefer playing with the Raspberry Pi camera, so I will uncomment out the Raspberry Pi camera and I will comment out the webcam, so we should be ready to go here. Okay, so now what is the goal of this lesson? The goal of this lesson is, again, to keep our windows organized, our video windows organized, and when we're going to be doing a lot of video processing, what we'll need is a lot of smaller intermediate windows, which means we need to be able to have a way of making the window smaller. And guys, this is kind of the way I do it. I don't try to resize the window, so I don't like create a window and then resize the window. What I like to do is I like to resize the image and then work with a smaller image and then just show that smaller image. And so let me show you what I'm talking about here. So we can come over here and let's see what we are doing. We fired our camera up here, and now what I do is I read a frame. The camera is called cam. And so I read a frame with the command cam.read, and then I show it. So I read it, I show it, I read it, I show it. Okay, and then we saw that it was in a crazy location. So let's go ahead and make sure that it's in a good location. So we will say cv2.move window, which we learned how to do last time. And I'm going to call it, let's see, this is going to be, this will be our nano cam. And where are we going to move it? Well, I'm going to move it over to the right. I'm going to move it to the right about 700 and then keep it in Y about the same. All right, like that. And then the next thing I am going to do is I'm going to create a new image, and I'm going to call that gray. And gray is going to be cv2.convert color. Remember CVT color? I believe we learned that last week. So that's cv2.cvt color. And then what are we going to convert? We are going to convert the frame. And then how are we going to convert it? cv2 dot all uppercase COLOR. And man, I am going to get further out of your way. There we go. cv2.color, and then underscore, and then it is going to be blue, green, red, BGR, all uppercase, BGR to gray. And you can see that it finds it down here, right there. And so I can just click on that to finish it out for me and then close that. You can see that nice and fine. So gray is equal to cv2.cvt color. And then what are we going to convert frame? How are we going to do it? We're going to go color the blue, green, red to gray. So now I should have two full-size images. One is called frame, and the other is called gray, and the gray is gray. Okay, so now I'm not going to show the gray. I'm just going to kind of hang on to it for later. All right, and so now what I want to do is I want to come in and show you how to resize these images. And so I will come back over here, and what are we going to do? We're going to make smaller versions of these. So I'm going to say I want a, let me start with my frame. I want my frame, my main image, and I want a small version of it. And how do I do that? cv2.resize, cv2.resize, and it recognizes that, and so that's good. And I'm not resizing a window, I'm resizing an image. So I just say resize. What do I want to resize? Frame. Okay, and then what do I want to make it? I want to make it 320 by 240. So that's kind of about half as big as what we started out, right? We were at 640, 480 on the main image. And now I'm coming down here and I am going to be, where was that? I'm going to be 320 by 240. So now I have a small version of frame. Let me also make a gray small, and similarly CV2 dot resize, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to resize gray, and then how am I going to resize it? 320 to 240, just like the other one. All right, that looks pretty good. I really think that that looks pretty good. So now I've got two smaller images. Well, if I'm going to do those two smaller images, what I better do is I better tell it where I want them. So I better give it a good location. So I'm going to say CV2.move window, and then what window do I want to move? What window do I want to move? Well, I'm going to have a new window, which I'm going to call BW for black and white. And where am I going to want BW? I'm going to want BW at 0 and 265. 0, 265. And so that's going to be a little black and white window, and it's not going to be up in the corner. It's going to be up in the corner and over to, no, that will be down to 65. Okay, I get my left and right and up and down confused sometime. We're also going to do CV2.move window, and I haven't created these windows yet, but I will just in a second. I'm going to get their position first. And so this one is going to be, we'll call it nano small, because our original was nano cam, and so we're going to call it nano small. And then this one is going to be kind of down and over. And so let's see, where am I going to, no, I'm going to put this up in the corner. I'll put this one up in the corner, right? Because that other one was over. That other one was down by 265, and so this one will be up in the corner. So now I have 3 images done. Okay, now I need to show those 2 things that I just set up. So I'll say CV2.im show, and what I will show is I will show the black and white. And then what I will want to do is, what do I want in there? Well, I want gray small. Does that make sense? I want gray small. Okay. And then the other one that I will have is CV2.im show. And what I will want there is I will want nano small, and this is going to be my small version of that frame. So this is going to be frame small, like that. Okay, so if I am not crazy, which I might be, this should give me 3 windows. It should give me my main large window, and then it should give me a small color window, and then it should give me a small black and white window. Okay, let's try this and see what kind of train wreck we get here. Run Python file in terminal. Hey, boom, look at that. Okay, see, now what are we doing? We are not just moving windows, we are resizing the images. And so if this was image processing going on over there in the corner, then I've got 2 smaller windows that I could see kind of the progression of my image processing. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's quit this, and then let's make a couple more windows just for good practice. So I've got those 4 windows, and so now what I'm going to do is let's just make a couple more windows based on the images that we already have. So I'm going to say CV2 move window. So I'm going to make a new window, and this is going to be black and white window 2. Okay, black and white window 2. And then where am I going to put it? Black and white window 2, I'm going to move over by 385, and then I'm going to make it 265 down. Okay, so this I think would be the bottom corner window. And then I'm going to do CV2.move window, and this will be a new window. You could do this with new images, but I'm just reusing the frame so that I don't have to create new images here, but I think you get the gist of it. So then this is going to be NanoCam 2, NanoCam 2, okay, and I need to put the quotes around that. I hope this autofilling business isn't getting in your way. NanoCam 2, like that. And then where is that going to go? Well, that is going to go at 0 left and right. No, that's going to go 385 to the right. 385 to the right and 0. Okay, let's look at that. So this one is going to be down in the corner, and then this one's going to be that second column on the top. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, but let's run this, and then I'd probably have to do those IM shows there. Okay, so then I will do CV2 to show those windows IM show. And what do I want to show? I want to show black and white 2. What do I want to show in black and white 2? Well, I want to show gray small, okay, and then CV2.im show, and then what I want to do is I want to show, I want to go into okay, so I am doing my NanoCam 2 here. I am show my NanoCam, or I called that Nano Small, didn't I? NanoCam 2. Okay, I called that NanoCam 2. Okay, and then what do I want to show in NanoCam 2? Frame small. Okay, let's stop and think about this. So I've got gray small and I've got frame small. I've got gray small, I've got frame small. I've got black and white 2 and NanoCam 2. I've got black and white 2 and I've got NanoCam 2. I think that's right. So let's run this thing. Run Python file. Boom! Look at that. 5 windows. So you see how now I've got kind of like my main final product, which you would think large, and then you could think of these 4 images as intermediate images leading to this one. And so that is pretty cool. So let's kill that with a Q. And then let me come back up here. And what if we started larger with this thing? What if we started at the display of our main image? What if we made it 960, and then what if we made it 720, so our final product could be bigger? Run Python file in terminal. Boom, look at that. So you see there I would have room for even more rows there to the left of the image of, kind of intermediate images. And look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's really good. I'm not seeing any latency there. Okay, that is really good. So I am going to quit. I hope I am going to quit. There it goes. Okay, so now what I want to do is I just really quickly want to show you how you would do this if you were using the webcam. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out these two. Okay, and the thing is, if we use the webcam, okay, and just still call it cam, if I use the webcam, the problem is these two parameters are not used in webcam. The webcam, it just fires it with pointing at it and you don't have the ability to build that string where you put parameters in. So in that case, you have to come afterwards and set those parameters. So I'm going to say cam.set, and then what am I going to set? CV2 dot. Okay, now watch this. CAP, okay, underscore proportion, okay, underscore frame, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set the frame width. So I will choose the width one, and then comma. What do I want? Well, I'll just set it to display width. So right now I'm putting that parameter in from the top of the program. Okay, and I think the easiest thing to do would be to copy this, and then the easiest thing to do would be paste it, and here in this case we're going to do display height, and then this one would be HEIGHT. Okay, so this should give me big on the webcam, and then it should give me 6 small ones. So we've turned the webcam on. So let's try that. Run Python file in terminal. Ooh, what does that not? Oh, all caps. Man, were you guys yelling at me there? All caps. HEIGHT. Let's try that. Run Python file in terminal. Boom, coming from the webcam. 5 images. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 images from the webcam. Just changing a couple of lines of code. All right, let me quit out of that. And this is looking really, really good. Let me show you what would happen if we did not do those cam sets after setting up the webcam. I think the default is just 460 is 640 by 480. So let's look at that and see what happens. Yeah, you see it looks like that the webcam, if you don't set a size, is going to come up 640 by 480, and that is what you would get. Okay, so guys, this is really, really important. So you see how we're able to make smaller windows and look at a bunch of different windows, and then have a bigger window that we can then do what we want to with. And so what I like to do is I like to resize the image and show the resized image and not try to resize the window. What we might do is we might leave the window big, and then we might run over and make a smaller version of it to display, and we might be doing a lot of our image processing on big windows, but then creating little thumbnails for us to look at over at the side. Does this make sense? Are you guys kind of seeing what we're trying to do? So what I want you to do for homework is I want you to try to create more windows and get them positioned, and see if you can get in there and kind of tile a bunch of small windows, and then have your main window be larger where you actually want to be doing your work. All right, Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com. Would really appreciate it if you guys would give me a thumbs up. It helps me if you give me a thumbs up. If you like the channel, subscribe to it. When you subscribe, be sure to ring the bell. Be sure to click that little bell, because then you'll get notifications when I have new videos coming out. And again, want to give a shout out and really appreciate you guys who are helping me out on Patreon. Okay, this is Paul McWhorter from TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys next week.